Hey guys, what's up? It's Gemma. Sorry it's really echoey in this room. I'm gonna figure out how to fix that, but it's a pretty big room. It's got all my music stuff in it, so the sound kind of bounces off the walls. I turned the mic off, and it's still really echoey, so I'll figure that out. But today I wanted to go through some tricks for your voice, especially if you're transgender. This is probably my comfortable range female voice. If I was like being a tryhard, I might go a little bit more up here or something a little brighter, or if there's somebody I really like, I might talk like this a little bit more. But for most of the time I'm talking like this. This is what's comfortable for my throat right now, and I've only been doing my voice training for about half a year. So yeah, eventually, like, the way the voice works is you start low and then you work up and up and up as you get more comfortable, because what's going on inside of your throat is the muscles are strengthening so you can keep pushing yourself, which is important to do, because the natural tendency is to want to talk lower. As you start talking, your voice drops because it's not comfortable, right? So your voice wants to go back to your natural range. So I had a few tips, a little bit of a hypocritical one since I just did it, but clearing your throat is pretty bad for your throat. I try not to do it very often. Obviously, I mess up on it. Let's see what else. Water is really good when you're practicing. Try to stay away. Here's another hypocritical one. Try to stay away from like soda or anything like that. Or milk is the other big one actually too. Because what they do is they might coat your throat, or the sugar, isn't good for it. The milk just kind of stays on top of your vocal cords. It doesn't really flush itself out after a while, so try not to do that as much, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference. If you like love milk, then drink milk, I don't care. But yeah, if you're like sitting down and practicing, just have some water next to you, because your throat will get pretty dry after a while. And then once you get better at it, it'll become more natural, and then you won't need it as much. I mean, when I go out, I still kind of carry around a bottle of water with me. Like if I'm in math class or something, it's like a 4-hour class, I take my bottle of water with me so that I can keep asking questions and talking. But I only need a little bit. So let's get into the tips. Breathing is very important, first of all. Breath control is very, very critical to attaining a feminine voice, or a more feminine voice, I should say, because I still haven't achieved my feminine voice that I want yet, but I'm happy with where I am in my more feminine voice. So, like I said, I'm by no means an expert, but if you're just looking for some quick tips, I can do that. So breath control is very important. A lot of people, they hear this and they start talking like really breathy, like that's like, it almost sounds like a little bit more of like a homosexual man kind of voice or something like that. And like nothing against that, but that's just what's been typically, put on that voice. So when I try to talk, I try to be conscious of my breathiness. And what you're going to find out is that there are some words which have more consonants in them that are going to be harder for you to pronounce. And so to mask that, I put a little bit of breath in, like the word breath. I don't like that word, so I make it a little breathier. You can hear at the end of my TH, breath. Sorry, I drank soda before this, so I'm struggling here. See? Alright, so breathiness is pretty important. You want to be mindful of that. When I first started, I started doing exercises such as shh, which is an SH sound, which will open up your throat, which is an F sound, and what else did I do? I did an S sound just by itself. These exercises might seem kind of pointless, but they do give you a little bit more of control over your breath. When I'm talking, I'm using either the F sound or the SH sound most of the time, very rarely the S sound. But what you want to do is you want to take a deep breath, and you want to feel it right here in your tummy, like And you want to sit down and do those for a few times a day. The second thing you need to do before you can start practicing is thinking about your vocal warm-ups. You can sit down with a piano and start on a key that's comfortable for you, maybe a little lower, you know, like ah, and then keep climbing up the keyboard. That's a great thing to do. That's usually part of my main routine, but before I even do that, I like to loosen up my face a little bit. If I'm going for like a practice session, I would say an intense practice session would be like an hour, because your throat is going to get really tired if you do anything over an hour, especially when you're just starting out. You're going to get tired, you're going to end up hurting your throat, and that's just going to put you back even more. So a good way to prevent that, I like to massage my temples, blow my jaw, and I like to also warm up my tongue. Stick it out as far as it can go. You get the point. There's another good one. You turn your head. Nod up and down. Turn your head again. Same thing on the other side. Things like that. You can look up, you can just Google vocal warm-up exercises and you can find a million of these things. So I'm not going to sit here and just do these. When I start, the main bulk of my improvement came from two major practices that I did. The first one was sitting down with the piano and climbing up half steps until I got to, I think it was like the D above the middle C, and that was like my range. That was as high as I could go at the time. Now I can go up to the F, but that was after about 6 months of sitting down with the piano every morning, and you know, whatever, my singing is terrible, but that's the point. You really want to do that. If you don't have a piano, you can download an app on your phone. There's online ones that are like flash pianos. It really doesn't matter as long as you're getting the note. What is the other thing that I did? I would sit down with like, I mean, this is a sheet of lyrics, so this probably isn't too helpful. But I would sit down with something and I would read it. And back then, my natural voice sounded a little bit more like this. If I was like pulling up a Wikipedia page or something, I would sit down and read the first paragraph of that page. And I would try to do it in a voice that was as high as possible without even, like it sounds weird, it's really embarrassing, but you just gotta do it. So I would sit down, and let me try to recreate. I would talk like this, and I know this didn't sound feminine, but it was prepping me for what I was doing. And it probably even sounded worse than that. It sounded probably terrible. It was back in December, but sit down and read it, and then I'd say, okay, and then I'd save that file for later so that you can compare it to, you know, your progress. It's a cool progress thing. But I would do that. I would find like a Wikipedia page or something, and I would sit down and try to read it in my comfortable range. So let's say I started down here. Well, I'm not going to read it just out in my natural voice because then I'm making no progress. But if I step it up a little bit like this, it still sounds masculine, but I'm still raising it and taking those steps. Now let's say I make an effort to talk like this all the time in my daily life. Maybe after a couple weeks, I think I can go up a little higher. Same thing. Push it up a little higher. Now I'm even a little bit higher than where I was before. Let's talk like this for a couple weeks and see how it feels. See how your throat feels. Always be cognizant of that. Keep doing the piano exercises and talk like this. Now let's talk up here. This is where you start thinking about your breath. I need more and more breath for this. Now we're talking up here. Now I really have to do my shh exercises because some of the words are hard to pronounce and I need to mask them with a little bit of breath. Then I'm up here. This is very, very kind of this is difficult for me. Like, I cannot talk like this all the time, and I'm sure it doesn't sound natural at all. But it still goes to show. The difference between this and this was about 4 months. And then I found my comfortable range, which was right up here. And so this is my comfortable range. I hope those tips help you guys out. If you have any questions, you can just leave them in the comments or whatever, or just, you know, hit me up on Google+. But yeah, those are my tips for transgender voice, male to female, and I hope those help for you guys. And like I said, you can just Google it if you don't know anything. All right, bye.